This is another comment from what's that his name? God jeez. Please let me know where you are sending this from Europe. Okay, it appears you are in Europe. Okay, so it reads, hi and thank you very much. I had a few difficulties, but I understood thanks to your very clear and detailed explanations. My question concerns the black deposits on the exhaust. I don't have any smoke or issues with the gauge, nor when accelerating, but I have a slight oil consumption. I changed the 16 valve stem cells. I'm thinking about the breather. Does the intake valve cover on the 2.2 engine have a PCV valve? How can I tell if the valve cover is in good condition? Can I use the valve cover from the EW10A engine? Thank you. Okay, so I'll take these questions one after the other. So let me start from the beginning. You said your question concerns black deposit on the exhaust. So if I understood what you said here, you are referring to um, black soot on the exhaust tip because it appears he said there is no smoke. Though he kind of mentioned, he said you don't have any smoke, but you have black deposit. So if I understood what you're trying to explain here, you meant black soot on the exhaust. So, and your engine is EW12J4, and you are running it with the 3FY engine ECU. So, if you're having black suits, my question is the pre-catalytic converter. I'm not talking about the catalytic converter that is under the vehicle. I mean under the gear lever, directly under the gear lever. No, I'm referring to the one that is attached on the exhaust manifold because your car has two catalytic converters. So, if the one on the exhaust manifold has been removed, it doesn't matter what you do, no matter how good the injection system is, the you must have black smoke or black soot symptoms on that vehicle. So it could also be that it has blocked. So you need to check. That's I'm saying after you must have, let's assume all the injection system on that vehicle are in good conditions, excluding this catalytic converter that is on the exhaust manifold. So if it's not there, you just have to put it. I know sometimes most people do it for performance sake. They remove that catalyst. Yeah, the acceleration tends to be a little bit quicker and or more responsive when you do that. However, as far as that 3FY version is concerned, that engine ECU must work with that catalyst. On the EW10A, you can do without it. At least I know EW10A, about three that I've come across so far without that catalytic converter. The previous owner or the current owners removed them, and there was no black soot or black smoke symptom. Though the consumption was, of course, higher than it should, but then it didn't give that those black soot issue. But as far as 3FY injection EC is concerned, without that catalyst, expect black smoke or at least that black soot deposit on that exhaust. So I'm not sure. The reason why I'm mentioning that because you say black soot, though you say no black smoke. The ones I've come across that have that didn't have catalytic converter on that manifold, exhaust manifold. Theirs we are even having black smoke symptom as it was once you accelerate the car hard, it will puff out black smoke. So I hope maybe your own it has the catalyst, so it could be something else. Um, because engine oil will not produce black deposit on the exhaust. No, if your engine is actually, well, you said you're having oil shortage issue. engine oil shortage issue. But even if it's burning oil, engine is burning oil, it will not cause that black deposit on the exhaust. So what else? You said you change your valve stem cells, uh, the breather. Then it says, does the intake? Okay, you say you're considering the breather. What do you mean by the breather? The vacuum lines. You said, does the intake cover on the 2.2 engine um, have a PCV valve? Um, for the 3FY version, um, enough, what is it called? In fact, generally EW12 engines, 3FY, 3FZ, the intake, their PCV valve is on the intake, unlike EW10J4 engine and the rest, where the PCV valve is on the exhaust. So the 3FY EW12J4. I'm trying to remember the 3FZ design very well. I don't want to um, I want to get it right. However, I know for 3FY version, the the PCV valve is on the intake side, just like you mentioned, is on the intake. So, however, there is a vacuum line that connects from that intake camshaft cylinder head side to the intake manifold. So that vacuum line is directly under the intake manifold. What's it called? PCV valve. That's cylinder head cover. So I want to believe that that cylinder head cover on the intake camshaft side, that the intake camshaft cover is it has that PCV valve there. So somehow it works with that vacuum line that is on the cylinder head, directly under the cover. I think that's how they designed that cover. I've not actually opened it up to check to see how it is, as in the difference between that cylinder head cover on the intake side of EW12J4 and that of EW10J4. I haven't actually checked because there has to be a difference. I know, for example, I know the exhaust cylinder head cover of EW10J4 is different from the um, EW12J4. The EW12J4, it doesn't, that hole where the vacuum line is attached on EW10J4 is blocked on the EW12J4. So so yeah, I believe it has that PCV valve on the intake cover, intake camshaft cover on the EW12J4. I believe he has that valve there. I don't know for it, but he has to. That's the only. But technically, there's a vacuum line directly under the valve, and it doesn't have such line on the exhaust camshaft cover, or the cylinder head side of the exhaust camshaft. Okay, so moving on. They say, how can I tell if the valve cover is in good condition? It can be quite difficult, honestly. It can be. It can be. The only one I've tested and confirmed is how to check is that of EW10A. The EW10A, that was the way I tested it the other time. You know, I opened it up, removed the cover, removed that rubber that is under it, that act also as a gasket. Basically, the gasket, I removed it and then blew through that outlet pipe. Blew through it. As I was blowing it, there was something that looks like Don't know how to explain it. When you blow it, that thing expands from the outside. So I blew through it, it was expanding. I'm trying to remember, unless I'm not getting it right. Okay, I think it's can't remember exactly. So the thing is, no, I don't know how to check the one that is still good. Many times that people, issues that have come up with oil burn on EW engine for people. So I recommend changing the cylinder head covers, especially that intake side or the one with the PCV. That's what I usually do. I recommend changing it. If a new one is a better option than the used ones, considering that used ones you can't tell whether it's good or not. So for new ones, you know for a fact that once you swap it in, yeah, that's it will work. So if the oil burn continues or oil shortage continues, you now know for a fact it's not from there. I don't know if it's possible to dismantle and remove that PCV on the cylinder head cover for the EW engines. I don't know. Maybe it's possible, but I don't know how else you can do that so I can test and confirm. For example, for the THP engines, it can be done. I know how to do that. But for EW engines, I've never tried it. He said, one, how can, okay, he said, how can I use the valve cover from the EW10A engine on the EW12? I believe that's what you meant to ask. Can you use EW10A cylinder head covers on EW12? Hmm. They are not the same. The designs are completely different. Even when you look at it, you can tell the EW10A cylinder head cover, both the exhaust one and the intake one, they are much bigger. And designs are not the same as well. Remember the cylinder head cover on the EW10A, the vacuum line, the vacuum line that comes from the cylinder head to the intake manifold on the EW10A is actually attached on the intake cylinder head cover on the EW10A. It's attached on the cover itself, while on the EW12J4, the 3FY version, that vacuum line this time now goes to on the cylinder head itself, not on the vacuum line, not on the cover. EW10A, the connection, the vacuum line is attached, or the what I mean vacuum line, I mean the hose, the vacuum line hose or whatever you want to call it, is attached on the cylinder head cover, while EW10A is attached on the cover, the vacuum line, while the EW12J4 is attached on the cylinder head itself, not on the cover. So you can see the designs are not the same. Now, so if you take that EW10A and put there, so what now happens to that hole? I don't know if you understand what I mean. It can't work. Can it fit in? Yes, it can, based on what I experienced, and I'm going to share this story now. So sometime in 2015, I think 2014, 2015, or maybe 2016. It was within these 3 years. So somebody purchased two vehicles, Peugeot 407 and 206. It was a high rank military man somewhere here in Abuja. Abuja is in Nigeria, FCT. So it was in Gwarimpa. There's a place called Gwarimpa here in Abuja. So that's where the person that purchased those vehicles live. So they asked me to come. They've already done the purchase through a dealer. So the dealer contacted me and said the new owner want me to come and check the car. So I went there, and It was 407 and 206, like I mentioned earlier. The 407 was like brand new car, as in you need to see this car. The car was still in new condition. I think it was like 2009 or 2010 production. So it was still new, as in they hasn't even been driving the car that much. So I was like, okay, what are the symptoms? What's the issue? They said the 407 transmission was not shifting well. Both were automatic, both the 206. 206 had the TU3JP engine, that's the 1.4. While the 406, 407, they said it had a 2.0 liter engine. So that the transmission wasn't shifting well. Then the car was having hard start issue, and they've changed the fuel pump many times. That the person just bought the vehicle. So what I did was I first checked the VIN through the bottom side of the windscreen of the 407. It showed uh, that the engine under the bonnet should be EW10A, that's RFJ. So I said, okay, fine. I opened the bonnet, looked at the engine. It has everything that has to do with EW10A. It still has the cover on top of it, that black cover. I looked at the fuse box side, nothing done there, though I could see a connection there, which indicated that they bypassed the fan, the engine cooling fan. So I was like, fine. I went into scan the vehicle. But has so many faults on the engine ECU that I'm not sure I've ever seen in my life until that very day. It was just so many. I like could say maybe like 30 error codes. So I couldn't even understand their meaning. Clear the fault, rescan. Then I tried cracking the engine. It refused to start, which I was expecting, like they said. It took about 5 or 7 crank before the engine started. And accelerated it, the power wasn't really there. But yeah, it was accelerating. I switched it off, rescan the car. Um, Two faults came up. Was it the timing issue? Cylinder reference fault came up. Of course, the fan was bypassed. So those two faults came up. I think these are the most important ones I could remember that came up. So I was like, okay, maybe somebody changed the timing belt, didn't set it well, so the timing needs to be reversed. The fan on can be dealt with, reversed as well, back to factory connection. So I was like, okay, fine, let me even drive the car to understand what they mean by the transmission. Because when I scanned this transmission, it was AL4. It wasn't showing anything that has to do with the gearbox. Instead, it was showing issue with the communication with the engine. About 7 faults or thereabout. It kept showing, all of them were all indicating that you was having communication issue with engine or the engine ECU. So, took the car, drove out. As in, let me explain or describe the symptoms. You press the throttle, it will stay on that particular gear, even though it's on drive mode. It will stay on that, even if it's gear 1, gear 2, whatever. It will stay on there even until RPM will hit red. It stays there, it will not upshift. But as soon as you remove your leg from the throttle pedal and the RPM drops back to almost 1000, then it will upshift, enter the next gear. Try it again on gear 2. It will keep revving and revving and revving, maintaining that gear 2 until it hits like 5,000 RPM or even 6,000. It doesn't matter how high, you just keep going. I'll have to remove my leg again before it can upshift. So at a point, it became as if I was driving a manual car without pedal. I mean, clutch pedal. So at that point, I knew there was something really wrong with the system. Because even as bad as automatic transmissions can be, especially AFR, I'm yet to come across one like that will fail like that. And yet the scan report was showing there was nothing really wrong with the gearbox, at least electronically. So By the time I had to manage to drive back to the house and decided, in fact, this time let me physically inspect the engine. Remove the cover. Things I saw there now started to look very confusing. It was supposed to, yeah, because it's only you remove the cover that you can actually tell exactly what is beneath it. So when I removed it, I was like, yeah, it looks, all the accessories attached on engine were all for EW10A accessory, engine accessory, but the engine itself looked kind of weird. You know, I looked at the cylinder head covers, they're all EW10A. But what made me now suspect something is amiss was because they applied, this is a car that is supposed meant to be foreign use. We call it Tokumbo vehicles here that haven't been used in Nigeria, fresh imported into the country. So the cylinder head we are removed and they applied this RTV silicon gasket maker on both of them. And they actually the EW10A cylinder head covers. You know how big they can be. They look completely different from every other cylinder head, at least EW engines. So I was like, what's going on? Why would they remove this? So I now looked, I said, let me even confirm. I now looked at the left side of the cylinder head where they engrave the engine numbers on engine codes or models on the cylinder heads for EW engines. So what I saw there was E7. That was when it dawned on me what was causing this. So somebody remove the EW10A engine, put EW7J4 engine, and reattach both the automatic transmission, all the accessories, everything that works with EW10A. I said even the throttle body, everything, intake manifold, everything back. Then now remove the cylinder head covers from the EW10A and swap it on the EW7J4. So, which was what was confusing them, because when you look at it, you will assume that it's EW10A because of that cylinder head cover, not knowing it's a different engine. But for some reasons, that was how it dawned on me that it wasn't that because the timing was off, it was because they remember EW10A, the reference sensor is attached on the intake manifold, no, intake camshaft cylinder head side. So it's the intake camshaft that the reference sensor works with. While on the EW7J4, the reference sensor is attached on the exhaust camshaft side. So because the vehicle was still running the engine with EW10A, that's RFJ injection system or injection ECU. So even there's no how it could work with the timing because the two camshafts are not the same. So he was reporting that the timing was not correct, so which was also causing the hard start all those times. However, that shouldn't have any effect on the transmission. But I wouldn't know whether it was because of the cylinder head covers that they swapped in was the reason why it messed up the transmission. It couldn't allow the transmission to work well because engine wouldn't work well. Because even no matter we try to do the power, in fact, it takes eternity for the RPM to climb up, even when it's on park or at idle, and you try to accelerate, the engine revs as if something was wrong with it. So the reason why I'm telling you these stories was the question of is it possible to swap the cylinder head covers from that of EW10A to EW12J4. Like I said, it could be done, but then this story I just told you, probably you might experience it because their designs are not the same. So I don't know, probably it was just suffocating the engine, or I couldn't tell what. All I knew, like I said, there are so many faults I saw there I would never seen before in a Peugeot vehicle that it came up. And because of that, the two ECU, engine ECU and transmission ECU, they refused to work. So that was why the gearbox was behaving that way. And funny enough, they purchased that car from another state. They call it Kaduna. That's where they purchased the vehicle, according to the dealer. I mean, the owner of the car was raving, very angry and upset that the person sold this vehicle in that condition. So I told them, I remember exactly what I told them. I said, see, if you like, keep wasting your time. The only way for you to be able to use this vehicle is to go back and pull back that engine. Pull back EW10A engine. As long as you are running the vehicle with this system, with EW10A system or injection system, it has to be that engine. Otherwise, this issue will not solve itself. So I think the owner decided that he's taking the car back. I think he spoke with the dealer and they now agreed that they will go back, that the engine they removed wasn't really bad. But because Nigerians are so scared of EW10A engine, so they wanted to sell it to. I honestly don't even understand why they did it. So they said they were taking it back to Kaduna. It's about 200 and something kilometers from Abuja, where I went to diagnose the vehicle, because it wasn't like I inspect the car. It was already purchased just to diagnose and know what the problem was. So that they were taking it back to probably put back the engine after they've calmed the owner down and the rest. So I know it's a long story and the rest, but I just want to understand what you might experience if you try to, because it might, like I said, if you swap it, it will most likely enter. But then will it work well? And remember, EW12J4 is different from EW7J4. For EW12J4, like I said, there's a vacuum line created, or hole or pipe created for the vacuum line to be attached to, from there to the intake manifold beside the motor throttle body. So if you now put the EW10A cylinder head covers both on the EW12J4 engine, so what now happens to both? Which one are you going to use? The hole on the cylinder head where the PCV valve is, or the hole on the cylinder head? So is it that you use one and cover the and block the other? You understand? So it doesn't make sense. So I don't know. You have to look at what exactly is wrong with the vehicle. If you are not too sure of the conversion you did when you put the EW12 3FY, then you can as well put back the EW10A. Or if the conversion was not done properly, then you get it done properly. Like I said, I don't know what could if you change the um EW10, what's it called? The PCV, no, the valve stem cells and the oil, you're still having oil consumption issue, then probably the problem could be from the cylinders, for instance, the rings or cylinder wall. I'm not saying I know for a fact, but that should be the next place to look at. Um, I don't know. I also hope you remember that EW10J4, EW10J4 has the oil pan. There's a hole there on the oil pan that connects, um, that has a hose vacuum line there, goes to intake manifold behind. So I hope that hole is connected to the intake manifold, because it's supposed to help the engine to breathe well. I want to believe that's why they created that space. I wouldn't know for a fact. So I don't know what could be your problem, the problem with the vehicle, but for what I can understand what you said, I said black deposit, which I expect it to be, what you meant was black soot, which means high fuel consumption. So in that case, you may have to consider checking that catalyst on the exhaust manifold. Um, then for the cylinder head covers, I've already mentioned, I wouldn't recommend you swapping We use EW10A cylinder head cover on EW12. Okay, so that's all I have for you on this video. All right.